Welcome to Almost Here, Round the Corner Future Technology podcasts with Richard Jacobs. Future technologies poised to transform our lives for better or worse are the focus of this podcast. Almost here means these technologies are now here and starting to be used, or just around the corner, from Bitcoin to artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.
Coming to Dallas, Texas, September 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2018, the Blockchain and Future Tech Expo. This is going to be a gigantic conference of over 5,000 people. We're going to be talking about blockchain and its applications. We're going to be talking about quantum computing, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and several other future technologies that are poised to and actually changing our lives as we speak. Here's why you should attend. As you may know, early adopters are the ones that investigated and profited from things like the gold rush in the 1800s, from the dot-com boom in the 1990s, from the internet boom in 2005, from the smartphone explosion in 2007, from the real estate boom that ended in 2008, and of course, from the Bitcoin boom that started in 2012. Early adopters act now. They don't wait till later. They go out west first. In their covered wagons, they find the biggest gold nuggets. If you consider yourself an early adopter and you want to find the biggest nuggets, then you owe it to yourself to attend this upcoming conference. Blockchain is going to affect how we control and store our medical data, how we send money around the world, how we bank, and more. But artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity will play a pivotal role in our lives as well. And that's why our next event, September 14th to the 16th at the Dallas Convention Center, is going to have not only 5,000 plus attendees, but will showcase blockchain, AI, cybersecurity, quantum computing, and more. You want to get in on the coming gold rush of future tech and opportunity as an early adopter. Don't be left out. To register, go to bftexpo.com. That's blockchainfuturetechexpo.com. Thank you.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Future Tech Podcast. My name is Josh Thomas and I'm here with David Montes from Kpmg. Kpmg is a world-class audit, tax, and advisory firm and one of the big four auditors with Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and Ernst & Young as well. Hello, David.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, doing fantastic. Glad to have you on here. And so KPMG is a really large company, and you do a lot of things. I know we're here to talk about one thing in particular, but could you just give us a quick, brief overview about the company and some of the problems that it solves?
Absolutely. So, you've outlined we're a leading audit, tax, and advisory firm. Our goal is to, in the end, be a trusted advisor to our clients, which include many of the leading companies around the globe. We provide audit services as well as leading class tax services and, provide an array of advisory services as well, focused from strategy all the way to technical implementation. So, we are, as you noted, a large global company focused on solving our clients' biggest challenges.
Could you name just a couple of those big challenges that you seem to run into more often than not?
Yeah, absolutely. And this podcast is focused around blockchain and I can highlight some of those challenges in that area. Over the past 4 to 5 years since we've had a dedicated focus on blockchain, many of the challenges that our clients are running into are still defining adequate use cases to build proof of concepts on in support of, their ultimate goal to either increase revenue, decrease costs, or mitigate risk. And so, we've been over the years helping our clients identify use cases, in many instances helping them design optimal blockchain infrastructures and applications to achieve those goals. Many of our clients are financial services companies, for example, and they are interested in optimizing many facets around the work they do, removing manual processes around reconciliation, enhancing security, and driving overall efficiencies throughout their organization and processes.
Okay. And so what was the reasoning behind creating a dedicated blockchain department within your company? Did you was there something about the technology and the momentum that it's been seeing over the last few years? And I ask because I've seen a lot of other companies, IBM, for instance, Deloitte, and they have a dedicated blockchain team, just like you mentioned. Yeah. Why is that?
In the early days, we were meeting with clients trying to identify the unique value proposition that blockchain provided to our clients, and we all came to a consensus that Bitcoin is a great solution to problems in the world that plague payments, for example, and chain of custody, for example. But we have witnessed over the past several years a significant increase in interest from our clients. So, much like probably your podcast listeners, they're reading about fintech and they're reading about possible disruption to their industries and are looking at technology as one of a part of many solutions that can help them drive business growth or help them optimize their operations. And so over the years, my focus is in financial services. About 3 years ago, we saw a significant uptick in clients coming to us asking about potential value propositions, asking about players in the market, asking about the capabilities of the technology and how it could transform, their piece of the organization or larger aspects of the products that they provide, their clients or customers. And so, even in more near term, we've seen that explosion actually across all industries. I was looking at a recent report of ours, and just in the Americas, currently we've got about 75 to 80 opportunities to help clients across all industries solve some of their biggest challenges around how to deploy blockchain technology to meet their goals.
Okay. And what would you say, as you've been paying, especially in financial services, what would you say have been some of the biggest challenges that your clients have faced in either researching or implementing the blockchain?
Yeah, with financial services, banking, insurance, capital markets, wealth management, they're heavily regulated institutions. And so, there are significant opportunities with blockchain to help them, that will help them drive value across their organizations. But as these financial services organizations process millions of transactions a day in some instances and have concerns around several aspects of the technology. Scalability being one. Really, I think one of the facets that has been driving concern is the network effect and really building out the network. I've been involved in many projects with clients in which building out a network was key to success. And, when you try to build a network of banks or a network of other financial institutions, sometimes it's difficult to gain traction with all the parties necessary, whether it's, conflicting priorities or whether each organization actually believes in the business case and the value proposition that provided. That's been one of the major challenges, scalability, building the network, and then, having to design solutions that are adequate for many of the regulatory aspects that, the banks must comply with or financial institutions must comply with overall. I think those have been the three biggest hurdles that we've seen thus far in FS.
Oh, that makes sense. And it's a story that I've heard time and time again, especially with all of the regulatory issues and hurdles in financial services. Now, it brings up an interesting point, though, with all of the regulatory concerns and the scalability issues that you mentioned. Why is it that you think that so many financial institutions or financial services companies are so hot about this technology?
It's a very good question. Blockchain actually provides the capability to solve many of their regulatory challenges as well. So when you think about know your customer or anti-money laundering, many of our clients spend very large amounts of money adhering to those regulatory burdens, right? And blockchain, has the ability ability, we think, and so do many of our financial services clients, to solve some of those problems and actually help reduce those costs overall and work together as an industry to drive optimization and actually improve those regulatory capabilities. And so knowing that they are burdened by having to operate in that regulatory environment, they've actually flipped the switch a bit and said, how can we leverage blockchain to reduce the cost of complying to those regulations? And I think that is a main driver in why we've seen financial services see an uptick in their desirability to look at this capability. Also, there are instances like cross-border, cross-currency payments that today involve many parties and don't have the transparency or at the end of the day, customer-focused capabilities that they want to provide, and blockchain provides those services. It's the same also with equity settlement. And so, there are a host of use cases that they believe they can work within the regulatory environment to improve their offerings to their clients at the end of the day.
Okay. And so let's take a look, David, just kind of into the future. And you're in a unique perspective here because your company serves as an auditor, as an advisor, as a consultant to many other companies. And you see all kinds of trends in technology in your area in financial service. If we were to pull out, your crystal ball and look ahead 1 to 5 years into the future, what shifts, what innovations and what changes do you see on the horizon?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I lead a practice within our strategy group and work very closely with our innovation team. And as we project into our crystal ball, we're seeing increased demand in what we call intelligent automation. And, that's focused on robotic process automation, machine learning, and ultimately, cognitive capabilities leading towards an AI-driven future. And we're seeing it across all facets of FS. So, I always tend to think cross-vertically. So, many corporations and many companies like ourselves have verticals that support intelligent automation or support blockchain or support, AR, VR, or autonomous vehicles or IoT, for example. And what my stance is and what, we're moving towards, I think, is a view in which all of these technologies will be converging to drive a very heavily automated future across many aspects of our lives. So from connected homes.
Where do you think it hits? Where do you think it hits first? What's the first massively adopted AI that you see?
That's tough because we have view into many different industries, but I don't necessarily want to place a bet where and which industry first. I think, believe it or not, there are still a lot of manual processes out there, and so when we talk to our clients about automation, for example, many of them are still struggling with cutting out the legacy capabilities that they still support. There's still a lot of, especially in insurance, paper shuffling, if you will, that goes on. And so, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit still yet to be harvested before we see massive adoption of, the intelligent automation solution. So, I think there's certain industries that are ripe and maybe more automated today than, some of the legacy products that are supported out there. But, I still think we're several years out. We're working with clients daily to identify areas of opportunity to deploy intelligent automation and machine learning and cognitive solutions. But it's really going to ramp up, I think, once they're able to identify and close out some of those very manual legacy low-hanging fruit opportunities.
Sounds good. David Montes from Kpmg. We've talked a little bit about your perspective as seeing a lot of things and seeing kind of how the sausage is made behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. Would you say, in your opinion, from all of your experience, what's the number one insight you've gotten from being able to be behind the scenes like this on this scale?
Yeah, I would say working with fintech companies and also working with many of the world's largest financial institutions, it's hard to drive, very large organizations to rapid adoption of very innovative solutions. Behind the scenes, there are very large core systems, often still running mainframe, in which it's very difficult to implement change quickly. What we're seeing is very rapid identification of solutions to integrating new technologies with the very large monolithic core systems, driving the key functionality behind the scenes. And so, we see significant change happening in what we call, from an enterprise infrastructure or enterprise architecture perspective, middleware changes such as APIs and solutions that companies like MuleSoft are offering that are helping to connect and drive rapid change between, the fintech solutions and the large legacy core systems, which are very, very interesting. So to me, that is one of the more optimistic points of view that I have, is that, we're talking less about replacing those core systems, which in some instances, could cost the company upwards of $500 million to $1 billion to replace, but looking innovatively at solutions in web services and middleware layers that can provide solutions to connecting both worlds.
Very good. Any final thoughts as we start to wrap up here? We've kind of walked through the journey of understanding the blockchain technology through the lens of financial services and Kpmg and all of your exposure and resources. Any final thoughts as we wrap?
No, I just think it's a very exciting moment in time to think about how to optimize, our clients' capabilities, leveraging these new disruptive technologies. I mean, we're working with clients across all facets of disruption, and the pace of change is picking up, and we can see our clients shift a little bit of focus from, being scared of some of these fintech companies to actually taking the mindset to how do we work with them to actually disrupt our own industries. So very exciting times, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, I can't either when you describe it like that. It sounds exciting.
It's great.
Very good. One more time, David Montes from Kpmg. Thanks for being here, and thanks to our audience for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Future Tech Podcast.
Coming to Dallas, Texas, September 14th, 15th, and 16th, 2018, the Blockchain and Future Tech Expo. This is going to be a gigantic conference of over 5,000 people. We're going to be talking about blockchain and its applications. We're going to be talking about quantum computing, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and several other future technologies that are poised to and actually changing our lives as we speak. Here's why you should attend. As you may know, early adopters are the ones that investigated and profited from things like the gold rush in the 1800s, from the dot-com boom in the 1990s, from the internet boom in 2005, from the smartphone explosion in 2007, from the real estate boom that ended in 2008, and of course, from the Bitcoin boom that started in 2012. Early adopters act now. They don't wait till later. They go out west first. In their covered wagons, they find the biggest gold nuggets. If you consider yourself an early adopter and you want to find the biggest nuggets, then you owe it to yourself to attend this upcoming conference. Blockchain is going to affect how we control and store our medical data, how we send money around the world, how we bank, and more. But artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and cybersecurity will play a pivotal role in our lives as well. And that's why our next event, September 14th to the 16th at the Dallas Convention Center, is going to have not only 5,000 plus attendees, but will showcase blockchain, AI, cybersecurity, quantum computing, and more. You want to get in on the coming gold rush of future tech and opportunity as an early adopter. Don't be left out. To register, go to bftexpo.com. That's blockchainfuturetechexpo.com. Thank you. You have been listening to Almost Here, Around the Corner Future Technology podcast with Richard Jacobs. Subscribe to this podcast, post a review to discover more future technologies that are poised to transform our lives for better or worse, such as Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, blockchain, virtual reality, and more.